We are back. It is Three Walls in the BLP. It is our special 100th episode. Never thought we'd get here. This little rinky-dink, stupid little basement podcast. But we are here. Had to bring back the OGs, the movie boys. We got Jordan. We got Spencer. Boys, what's going on?
Not a lot. I mean, just loving that we finally found some time to do this. Did a little homework, so that always is like a good throwback.
Yeah, I think, happy to be here. This one definitely required some homework, but it was fun. It was fun revisiting some of our favorites, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But thanks for having me.
Yep. So I obviously had to do something really special for the 100th episode. So everybody buckle up for the next 3 hours as we discuss how Avatar 2 is the exact same fucking movie as Avatar 1 and how James Cameron is a fucking fraud. So if you think about – just kidding. That would take more than 3 hours. Everybody knows that, especially from this podcast. But we are doing – this was Spencer's idea to do 100 of our favorite, most memorable, most influential, most commonly used movie quotes and give them to you guys and, go from there. So I came up with 34. You guys came up with about 33. And we'll see how many copies we have, how many random ones we have, and how many tangents we go off of.
I mean, you could say it was my idea, but I think maybe I'm regretting it a little bit now. I know this is going to be like a 6-hour podcast, and we're just going to be going back and forth with movie quotes like we're middle schoolers all over again. But that's what the people want. That's what the people want.
Guys being movie guys,
I am curious how like the common person, and I say that in like the person who just watches movies casually, like won't know or won't like really care about a lot of these, but then I feel like there'll be a good amount that'll be like, oh yeah, that one really is like something I say every day.
Yeah, I also think there's going to be a few that we say that people are going to be like, I don't remember that from that movie, or like, oh, that's what it's from. And hopefully that will draw people to go watch these movies and enjoy them as much as we have. I'm also curious to see, we all have our lists, how many we just go off of on like stream of consciousness and abandon the list and be like, no, actually this one. We're going to go with this one. So I think that'll happen pretty often once we kind of get fire in here.
I think there's going to be some audibles, some game time decisions happening here. It's going to be fun. I think like it kind of embarrassed me. Like I consider myself such a movie person. It embarrassed me how few movie quotes I could just pull off the top of my head. The amount of Google searches I did and listicles I was reading was kind of humbling, to say the least. But
yes,
I think I got a pretty nice list here. I'm excited about it.
There are a lot. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say there's a lot where I was like, I quote that, or like it'll come up and people will be like, how do you remember that? And then I like looked it up and I was like, wow, I've been saying that completely wrong this entire time.
Yes. Oh yes. And even on top of that, there are some movie quotes that like historically are just like passed down incorrectly. Like the biggest one is Luke, I am your father. That's not the actual quote from the movie. So I had to like check myself every single time I was to make sure I was right. And I probably still messed it up, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on IMDb in the quotes page just making sure I had the phrasing correct. All right, let's get into it. I'll start us off here. Got to figure out which one I want to go start with here.
I know this isn't like a ranking of
no
order. Toss it out. Okay,
just toss it out.
I
think that would be entirely too hard.
Right, I think so too.
All right, I'll just go with this one. It's a classic. I think about it every time I think of football. I think of football movies. It's an all-time favorite of mine. It's where's Rev? Rev, you ready to run? Fake 23 blast with a backside George reverse. You got that? Fake 23 blast with a backside George reverse, like your life depended upon it. Let's go. Herman Boone, remember the Titans. Even just saying that, I got goosebumps, which is very lame because Denzel delivers it so much better. But that is just like, oh, so classic. Love that one.
Yeah, you had great delivery there too. I didn't know we were getting a performance. Yeah, that was great.
I kind of got goosebumps too. Holy crap!
Hell yeah! I'm coming for you, Denzel. I'm coming for you.
Are you starring in Gladiator 2 as well now?
I could probably do a New York accent in Ancient Rome just as well as Denzel. We'll have to talk about that on another episode. What a choice there. I love it.
It might have been just York at that point, not New York. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh! All right, well I'll throw one in then, and mine is much shorter, much more ridiculous. But the local movie theater that I go to does like this like kind of real like a la Nicole Kidman kind of intro thing. And the one that I always remember because it's a great movie. I love Pauly Shore and Brendan Shanahan. They find this caveman in their backyard when they're digging for a pool, and there's this dude who's like the antagonist in it, and he just always says shush. So every time I go and thinking of the movie beginning to start, that's kind of what I have, and it's like the don't talk during the movie sort of thing. So that one's actually mine because every time someone does like a shush or anything, I always kind of add the shush.
Incredible. I love it because not only did you quote a good movie, but it is part of your movie going experience still. Like that's the big one.
That's perfect. That's so perfect.
All right. I will go with one that I think is probably one of the most impactful, influential quotes of all time. Here's looking at you, kid, from Casablanca.
Ooh,
Now a little background of my experience with this movie. Again, I keep saying I'm a movie person, but maybe I'm a fraud really when it gets down to it, because I had not seen Casablanca until maybe like 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I think it changed my life. It's so good. Like you see a movie like that and you're like, there's just no way that it holds up. It doesn't hold up to the test of time. It doesn't hold up to the hype. But this one totally does. And there are so many. I mean, there are a million famous quotes from this movie, but I picked this one in particular because the history behind it is like it was kind of improvised because like Humphrey Bogart just said that on set a bunch, and then they were able to work it into the movie in ways that it worked so well throughout the whole movie. So I really love that quote among a million others from Casablanca, but I tried to limit it to one, so that's the one I picked.
Dang. I feel like all those leading ones said a lot about all of us very individually and perfectly. Yeah. So that was great. That was really good.
That was so good. So good.
All right, Mike. Rapid fire almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's my next one is a classic from like a classic gangster movie that I don't think it's talked about in the upper echelon of gangster movies like it probably should. But and I might be wrong in thinking that, but it's Now Yous Can't Leave from A Bronx Tale. Such a classic little the biker scene.
Sure.
They pour the beer on everybody. They come in. Now Yous Can't Leave. And I say that all the time. It does not apply to anything in my life, but I say it all the time. And it's so good. Chaz Palminteri, just the way he delivers it. Oh, come on.
I think this is going to be a really fun exercise because as we go through, I'm going to be adding movies to my watch list, and that's another one that I've never seen. So,
so
adding
good.
it
De Niro.
right now. Letterboxd is going to get a lot of action from me right now.
It's been a while since I've seen that one, so that is a good one. I would not have been able to pick that one out.
That was directed by De Niro. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dang. Wow. My next one, a little shout out to Bull Durham, Kevin Costner. So it's his like long monologue where he gets in the fight with Susan Sarandon and he's like leaving, and then she's like asking what you believe in, blah blah blah. And I'll paraphrase because the first part's pretty raunchy, but I believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I believe there ought to be a constitutional amendment outlawing AstroTurf and the designated hitter. And then he keeps going on, and those are like three things where I'm like, money, 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 like.
Yep.
Big National League guy, hate the designated hitter, hate AstroTurf, a lot of injuries, a lot of terrible things. I still kind of bringing up my old like big grass conspiracy I got going on where ACL injuries are going through the roof with turf now and all that. So love that quote. It's so good.
So good.
It's great. Still so holds good. Up. Still true.
Oh, yeah. Still true.
All right, for my next one, you talked about saying a lot about us. This is like my total opposite side of my movie fandom here. And this quote is, "Bring me Thanos" from Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
One of the greatest, honestly, still like top 10 cinematic moment I've ever experienced. Like, just so cool. Just the way he just roars it and he just arrives, the music swells. Oh, it's just perfect.
So good. I love the I've seen the clip online where it's like edited with the immigrant song on that scene, like how it is in Ragnarok. But
That's
it's
cool.
like when he arrives to Wakanda, and I'm like, they should have done that. I mean, just you can't get enough Led Zeppelin, so just fucking keep going, keep going.
Absolutely, that's a great. I would love to see that. That's cool.
I'll find it and send it. It's a good one.
Great.
I'll go. This is the strangest transition to this movie and quote of all time. It's from my all-time favorite movie, and I'll say the quote and then I'll kind of get to how I transitioned to it. But it's from The Sound of Music, and it's to refuse them would be fatal to all of us, and joining them would be unthinkable. Captain Von Trapp. Such a pivotal scene in that movie with Donald. It's Donald Sutherland, right? Yes. I'm not. Am I crazy? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I just had a huge mental break there.
R.I.P. By the way.
R.I.P. R.I.P. You looking up, you looking down. Such a pivotal scene in that. That movie is so classic. Love this. Played every year on around Christmas time. I don't know why. It's not really a Christmas type of movie.
No.
But my all-time favorite, and the reason I pivoted to this one after Spencer gave in Infinity War, there was a meme online back when Infinity War came out with Bucky and Rocket spinning around shooting people, and it was like, I love how this just looks like they're in The Sound of Music, and it's saying the hills are alive, but motherfucker, you ain't. And every time I think of The Sound of Music now, I think of that scene and just how stupid the internet is and how stupid our little stupid minds are to correlate those two things. So, yeah, so from Avengers Infinity War to The Sound of Music. And
Brilliant. Great pivot, too. I like
that.
That
is a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Professionals. We're professionals here.
My next one is originally from Marlon Brando, but I actually came to know it sort of in Seinfeld, where Elaine gets drunk at the party and she just keeps saying, "Hey, Stella!" And it's Streetcar Named Desire. Anytime I encounter a person named Stella, and one of my best friend's daughter has a girl in her preschool or daycare, whatever class named Stella, and that's like the one thing I always got her to say now that she's like 2, and that's like, "Hey, Stella!" It's so funny, but it's so perfect.
That's awesome.
That's great, and I think there's a long tradition in films of people saying names in like a ridiculous way that kind of just sticks. Like I'm thinking off the top, like Yo Adrian and Rocky. Like there's a ton of them.
I got a couple of those on here, so
perfect. Hope I didn't steal anybody's thunder there.
Nope, not yet.
Awesome. All right, well, I'll go to one of my other favorite movies, and this movie is a 4th of July staple. I can't remember the last 4th of July I've gone without watching this movie, and it is You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat from Jaws.
Ah, yes, very good.
It's such a great like comedic bit after seeing the size of the shark. Like that whole movie is just so perfect, and it flows through the tone. The tone of the movie always kind of like wavers a little bit, but in the best kind of way. Kind of keeps you on your toes. It's like funny one moment, scary the next, heartfelt the next. Like it's just such a perfect movie. Such a memorable quote.
So I have to ask, do you view Jaws as a horror movie or just a summer blockbuster?
That's a great question. Honestly, to me, this is how I think about it. The 4th of July, I watched Jaws there because obviously there's a lot of 4th of July stuff in the movie, but it's also, for me, that perfect transition from summer into horror. Like, it's kind of right on the cusp. So, for me, it starts my horror season. Like, the last couple nights, I've watched a lot of horror movies because now it's time. It's time to go.
Sure.
So from Jaws on till really, well, it's pretty much year round, but really from Jaws 4th of July till Halloween it's all horror. Yeah. So yeah, it's both for sure.
I was gonna say, Spence, it's year round for us. We're not. Yeah. We don't discriminate with horror movies here.
I mean, this is all. Mike, you were the king of this back in the day. You would just watch horror movies alone in your basement. I had no idea how you could do it. I was
sick.
So scared.
You're sick.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot about the person I am today. Had some defining nights in that basement.
Yeah, I couldn't do it then. No way.
Yeah, I got problems.
Who doesn't?
That's true. So, when you started saying 4th of July and it's a classic, I knew you were going to go Jaws, and I was very concerned, but I don't think I should have been because I have a quote from Jaws, but it's not a very, it's not, you're going to need a bigger boat. It's not the USS Indianapolis scene, which is some of the greatest acting I've ever seen in my life. It's from Robert Shaw, though, as Quint, who is maybe my favorite wacky fisherman ever. It's anti-shark cage. You go inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. and he starts singing farewell and adieu to our Spanish ladies. Just so perfect of like trying to lighten the mood, understand what this guy is actually saying, and calling out how stupid his idea is for Hooper to get in the cage in the water with the shark. And it's kind of proven right when Bruce the shark just destroys the cage, and just so classic. I love that part.
Yeah, it's great. It's great storytelling, and like without even having to say too many words, like it just gets the point across so well. Awesome. He's the best.
Yeah.
I didn't plan to do it here, but you know what? I'll do it with the Jaws theme keeping going. I have one on here from Mallrats, a Kevin Smith one. He, if you haven't seen Mallrats 2, Clerks, what have you, basically it's just a bunch of guys hanging out at the mall and their saga and intertwined. But there's the beginning part where one of the main characters is going to propose to his girlfriend, and they're going to like Disney World or Universal or wherever, and they're like, well, when are you going to do it? And he was like, well, when Jaws pops out of the water on the ride. So then as the day keeps going throughout, because it's literally just in one day, they're like, oh, you were going to propose? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, when? And then he's like, his friend goes, when Jaws pops out of the water, and he like hits him with his elbow. So it's like whenever people go, oh, when? Or oh, when? And I just always say, when Jaws pops out of the water. So that fits perfectly with all so that. I love that you guys did that.
That's so good. That's awesome.
That's really fun. That's a useful quote too, I feel like. Yeah, that's good.
That also just shows like how in sync we are without actually trying to be in sync with like just like stupid, funny, and then complete pivot to similar but all encompassing the same movie. Just classic us.
Yep.
Classic us.
It. All right, well, I think that does it for our Jaws run, because I got nothing else reference there. But I can continue down a little bit of a horror path, and I'm going to go to an even more classic horror path. And this is the original Frankenstein movie.
Okay.
And it's the classic, it's alive! It's alive!
So good.
I mean, that's another one I feel like I just say randomly out of the blue, and everybody thinks I'm kind of crazy, looks at me really funny when I say it. But it's a classic line, great delivery. Just like the heightened like theatricality of movies back in the day.
Oh yeah,
just leans into it, and I love it. It works.
I feel like that was one that came up in like cartoons and stuff. Like if something was made, it was always like a kind of random line. And
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it just speaks to like the pivotal kind of like foundational moment of that.
Like I think
that's a great point.
Outside of thinking Frankenstein when they think that, I don't know why, but like my mind goes right to like Dexter's Laboratory, because I feel like he definitely said that so many times in that show.
That's got to be true. I can't think of an example, but it's got to be, and that feels so right.
Has to be. I'm gonna have to look it up. After this. But yeah, that's so perfect. All right, I will stick in the horror aspect here, and I'll go to one of my. Probably my favorite horror movie of all time, The Shining.
Ooh.
And it's towards the end when Jack has gone full insane and he's following Wendy up the stairs. He says, I'm not going to hurt you. You didn't let me finish. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm just going to bash them the fuck in. And it is just like such a perfect, like chilling, terrifying, complete 180 crazy turn, because you can see he's starting to turn in the movie and he's like, something's not right about this guy, and then that hits and you're like, got it, okay, this is gonna ramp up a little bit here, and just so perfect. And I know the main one from that is like, I'm not gonna say because I'm gonna take it, but I think that one sticks out to me of like the pivotal climax and turning point in that movie, and it's just Jack Nicholson. I mean, come on, so good.
It's so good.
It won't be the last time we talk about The Shining, because that performance is truly just one of my favorites of all time. He's just an absolute. He turns it to 11, and he's great. It's amazing.
Still don't get how fucking Stephen King doesn't like that adaptation of it, but whatever. That's for another talk. That's for another podcast.
We may never know. My next one is kind of a shout out to one of my favorite comedy movies, but it actually kind of quotes I would say probably close to the top 10, top 5, one of my favorite movies of all time. So it's from Role Models, where I don't even know what his name Augie, maybe I think is his name, but he's like given the kind of monologue at the end of the movie where they're getting ready to finish like the LARP battle, and he's like, blah, 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 and then he goes, who the fuck is Marvin Hamlish? And then Paul Rudd just goes, He's the guy who wrote the music to The Sting, and I love that line because I love The Sting. That movie's so good and so awesome. But I just like when that happened, I felt like I was the only person who, when I was watching it, that like even knew what The Sting was, and for that like deep cut to just be like, yes.
Spence, I think we saw that together, and I think we were at the same time. We're like, what's the Sting? Marvin, what's
No
happening
idea.
here?
No idea at the time, but it's so like I've learned all about that, especially because I actually have performed with Marvin Hamlish in high school.
That's amazing.
He performed at my high school, and I was in like the choir or whatever, and so we were like his backup singers when he performed at our high school. So like this is all coming together.
That's
is amazing.
so awesome. I love that. It's such a weird quote, but it's so funny.
Totally forgot about that quote. That's great.
Oh my god! Holy shit, that was fantastic.
All right, what should I pick now? Well, I will go back to The Shining here, and it's a picture I can never get this image out of my head, and it's when he says, "Here's Johnny," and he puts his face through the door, and he has his like shit-eating grin. Like it's just perfect. I mean, again, there's like 20 of these quotes or moments I could pick from that movie, but I think we picked the best two.
So good. That's the quote that I was gonna say, and I was like, I'm not gonna say it because I think it's coming up.
Somebody else will take. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. For my next one, I will say this is like a classic like 80s action, just like dudes rock type of movie that I think any self-respecting movie fan or action movie fan has seen. And it's from Predator, and it's a classic line by Dutch. And he says, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." So fucking awesome. And the Predator series, say what you want about it, I enjoy them. They're fucking ridiculous, and they've gotten crazy out of hand, but that first one is just such a simple idea, terrifying. It's like similar to Jaws, where like the scary parts about it are when you can't see the predator, where like Jaws, the scary parts you can't see the shark, and just all-time classic dudes rock movie. Love Arnold. Yeah. So good.
I mean, there's so many things. I mean, especially the meme of the handshake. Like that movie has spawned so many just incredible things.
If I could have like quoted that handshake, like put words into that to accurately describe it, I would have put that as a quote, but I don't think I can even try to accurately justify that.
You picked a good one.
Yeah. So next one I got is from my favorite Harry Potter movie, number 4, The Goblet of Fire. And it's so messed up, but it's so quotable, is when he comes back with the port key at the end and the Hogwarts band's playing, and he just, Cedric Diggory's dad, "My boy, my son." It's terrible, but it is so quotable. And anytime someone always says, "Oh, that's my son," I just, "My boy."
Oh, I say that one all the time, and I hear that music in the background in my head.
Yep. I had it going.
It's so like terrifying. I feel like maybe as kids when we watch it, we were so scarred by that moment that we can only laugh about it now.
Yeah.
All right. I'll continue the Harry Potter train. I got one on here that I really like. Where is it? Okay, this is from the first Harry Potter movie. And I love this line. I think it's still funny, but I think it also just shows a lot about the character too. And this is when Hermione is telling them after they get back to the common room after, I think this is right after they see the troll for the first time. She says, "Now, if you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us all killed. Or worse, expelled."
Expelled. Yep.
So good.
It's great. I mean, it just shows you so much about the character, but also, like, what crazy person says that? She's great, though.
I feel like every kid watching that movie related to that because they all immediately, when that like line came up, they're like, "I know someone like that. That's just like such a goody two shoes," and you're like, "That fucking person, like, just shut the hell up." Like, it's not all about school. It's not like, okay, cool. Perfect attendance, all A's, whatever. Like, shut up. We get it. So good. So good. I will pivot similar to Harry Potter. A it's a Robert Pattinson quote, so Cedric Diggory. It's from Tenet, which is a criminally underrated Christopher Nolan movie, and I think got robbed by coming out during COVID. But again, another podcast there. It's at the end where I don't even know what Pattinson's character's name is called in that movie because I don't know what anybody's name is in that movie. But he goes, "What's happened, happened," which is an expression of faith in the mechanics of the world. It's not an excuse to do nothing. And like hearing that the first time you see it, it's like, oh, that's a cool line. And then like you hear it again and you think about it and you're like, holy shit, that was really deep and it makes a lot of sense. And it struck me as like powerful and influential and what I kind of took away from that movie outside of the fact that Nolan is just so good.
Yeah,
love it. And Pattinson is fantastic.
Sure. Well. Dang. In one like round,
I wish I could understand
the
dialogue in that movie.
Yeah. That's why I watched it at home.
It's a tough one in the theaters. I get it. It's a loud movie, whatever. But
I like it. Good choice.
Well, geez, I mean, you served these right up. We went from Pattinson to Christopher Nolan, and I'm gonna go Christopher Nolan to Heath Ledger. I think this might be one of his obviously famous ones, but I think this one's almost as popular, I would argue, as the one that I'm not going to mention, but obviously as the Joker in Dark Knight, when he says, you know how I got these scars, I bone chilling, and then you get this great story that I've seen speculation it's not even true sort of thing, but like, I mean, obviously the other one that he says in that is probably going to get more as far as the memes and the pop culture sort of part. But to me, that one just stuck out way more.
Yeah, and I love how that story changed throughout the movie too. So like, you don't actually like, you can't tell like which one was serious, but like it just adds to the lore of that character and how deranged and psychotic he is. Just so good.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P.
I just had another idea for a quote, so I'm writing this down real quick. All right. Okay. Let's see. What can I do? All right. I'm going to pick one. This is a little different. This is probably not a quote you've seen anywhere outside of the movie, but it's from a recent great film called The Holdovers. And there's one line when Paul Giamatti's character says, "You see, history is not simply the study of the past. It is an explanation of the present." Which I think on two levels is pretty cool. I think it's a deep and true philosophy and like, opinion on history and why it's important. But also it really does show a lot about the character because he is so stuck in the past. He's so rooted in there. He can't see outside of his studies and what's going on in his world. So it works on multiple levels, and I thought it was a great quote. Really well written movie from start to finish.
Yeah, he can't see because of his eye specs. Come on.
Yeah, and his eyes. Oh, I forgot about the easy target there.
I will go with another movie that came out in the past year that was up for that had some serious Oscar buzz and some serious Oscar success. Anybody that's listening to this podcast knows I love this movie. It's Oppenheimer, and I was thinking about it because there's a lot of good quotes from there that you can pull, but a lot of them are like really deep on like a physics and like scientific like method that are tough to like deconstruct and like really take out of context and like understand as like quotable. But it's a repeated line, and it's not even an Oppenheimer original. It's "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Just like how that was repeated, and then how he says that during the Trinity test as it's so silent, and then that's the first thing you hear right before the bomb, like as the bomb's going off. That scene was so powerful and so beautifully shot and actually done with practical effects, which Nolan, again, a psychopath, but I love it. I hope he never changes.
Man. Okay. I have one that kind of I think it stemmed a series of movies, obviously, as we've seen them come out, and I want to say there's a TV show coming out too, from Jigsaw and Saw. I mean, it's the quintessential one. I want to play a game. I feel like anytime that one's kind of one that kind of gets quotable too as well with kind of day-to-day conversation, but also just the way it's delivered, and then just like how big those first three movies were, and then I almost feel like they kind of milked it a little more, where they like started diluting it a little bit. But
a little bit.
But I mean, I think that one, the first one, I remember watching and going, "Wow, this movie is incredible." And then it got better, then got worse, but nonetheless, I think that one is probably the biggest one to me.
Yeah, and that twist at the end of the first one where
Whew.
he just gets up from the floor and it's like, okay, sure, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Let's see, what's my next one here? I will pick. Oh, this is a simple one. It's just the word groovy, and that is from Evil Dead 2, which I think
not
that
where
just
I thought.
embodies.
Not where I thought you were going.
Ooh, what do you think? Like Austin Powers or
Yep.
something?
Yeah.
Also, wonderful pick. But no, I'm thinking Evil Dead 2 because I love that movie. I think it's such a interesting use of funds because the first Evil Dead was such a low budget movie that they basically redid it in Evil Dead 2 and made it bigger and better and funnier and weirder. But Ash's catchphrase being groovy just says so much to me. He's just like a man out of time. Like the Groovies is like 60s and 70s. This is an 80s movie. He thinks he's so cool. He's like such a himbo almost. Like I think it just works on so many levels for the character. I love that quote, and I find myself saying groovy way more often than I should in public.
Bring it back. Who cares?
Yeah, fuck it. Okay, let's see. Where do I want to go next? All right, I'm gonna go a little ridiculous with this one. It's taking a little liberties here. It's a twofer quote, but I'm counting it as one because it's so stupid and simple.
Okay.
Too Fast, Too Furious. It's Paul Walker or Brian O'Connor going. I said, forget about it, cuh. And then, and then towards the end, when he's like, "Hey man, my pockets ain't empty no more, cuh." And it's just, I've never once heard anybody else say the word "cuz" like that ever, and it's so stupid and it makes no sense and it's so awesome. And one of my all-time favorite Instagram follows that I've ever found is just this account that just plays I said forget about it, cuh, and it's just day number 189 of saying forget about it, cuh, and it is just so hilarious, and it's not something that could get away with in today's world, but it is so great.
It's so good. It's so funny you say that. I was down the shore and my little cousin was with me and we had that movie on. It was just on TV, so we were watching it. And we hear that line and my little cousin is like just starts laughing out loud. Like he even realized like how strange that is for this man to be saying that.
It
works.
It's so abrupt too, and like in the conversation, it's like, forget about it, hell. I want to talk about this shit. I said, forget about it, cuh. Like his voice changed. He's never sounded like that ever again in any movie. But it's just R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yep. R.I.P.
My next one, I feel like too. It's like we had Here's Johnny, and I have a lot of these where it's just like, if this is your name, like I'm so sorry because that's how I'm gonna say your name every time I talk to you. This one's from Billy Madison, and it's just Eric. Every time you just I meet an Eric, you just have to, like, you're gonna give the company to Eric. It's just so good. It's so simple.
It is really great. I'm happy to keep the Billy Madison train going because I got another one right here.
Yes.
And this is honestly genuinely one of my favorite movie quotes of all time. And it is, Mr. Madison, what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
So good.
Like, imagine someone actually saying that to someone in real life. You'd be absolutely devastated. There's no coming back from that.
I think kind of like Mike's twofer, like that's a good 2-for-1 too, because his follow up is a simple no would have done just fine. I think it's just as good.
It really is. It really is. I had to rewatch that whole scene when I was pulling together this list. It's too good.
So good. And then you even call it a threefer. I choose Business ethics.
Ethics. Yeah.
Oh my god, this the simplest little stupid movie ever. I love it. All right, again, I'm taking kind of liberties here with this one, but it's from probably my favorite comedy of the 2010s, 2000, either one. It's from The Other Guys, and it's the series of TLC references from Captain Mock, and just how like more in depth they get each one, and then at the end he's like, "It's not funny anymore." You know, the TLC reference, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking. Like, don't go chasing waterfalls. You got to creep.
Just creep.
No one says creep unless you're quoting TLC.
Right?
Like, just that movie is so fucking great. I had like 4 that I had on my list for that one, but I'm gonna roll with that one because it's just so good. And I think Michael Keaton's character in that is criminally underrated as a comedic character in movies. He's so good.
I feel like I've made that reference too. That movie in the first 10 minutes has the most all-star cast, and then 2 of the biggest stars in it die, and you're like, whoa.
Aim for the bushes.
Movie was ahead of its time.
Oh god. I think my next one I'll use this one, and this one is super relatable, especially in the lunchroom. The odd kind of appetizer, if you go out to a restaurant, they usually have them, but Napoleon Dynamite, and it's, let me get some of your tots. That is so transcendent, and with tater tots just becoming so popular now, and on all kinds of menus in place of fries, I feel like that one is so relevant now.
Did you see there was a campaign from Ore-Ida, who owns Tater Tots or something? I guess they have a brand of Tater Tots. They did a campaign with John Heater to promote these Tots protector pants, where there was this hard shell over their the pocket that you could put tots in, so nobody could kick your tots.
That's so amazing.
It was brilliant. They sold out like this. I couldn't even get them.
What a practical invention! I love
it.
It
really is. It's too good. This world doesn't deserve that. All right, I will go with a recent comedy as well. And this is a line I see getting a lot of praise online all the time. And this line is strictly due to its delivery, and it is, how can that be profitable for Frito-Lay from Game Night? Jesse Plemons, just the absolute king of deadpan comedy. I don't know how he does it, but every time he tries to do some deadpan comedy, he nails it. And this is probably one of my favorite lines from him ever.
That is amazing. Oh my god.
That movie is so underrated.
It really is. It really is. I might watch that tonight.
So underrated. Holy shit. All right, I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna take a Jason Bateman quote here, and
good segue.
It's something that I say so much, and a lot of people are like, "That's an interesting way to phrase that." Where are you taking that from? And it's from Couples Retreat, and it's I am gonna take the fact that Grandpa Jim's at the front door is a firm tentative yes. And I say firm tentative yes or firm tentative no so much in my day-to-day life, and it's just so perfect because it's so stupid. It's just such a throwaway line, but I think the way Bateman's deadpan delivery of it is just he's walking out the back door. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take that as a firm tentative yes. Okay, got it, cool."
I can absolutely hear that in his voice. Yeah, that's great.
He has amazing delivery. It's so this one is a little worse than that, obviously, but I think it's a good one from Pulp Fiction. It's one of those where in the job that I do, I encounter people who don't always speak English, and it's just awful. But it's one of those things where I always think about when you ask someone if they speak English, and it's for Samuel L. Jackson, and it's, "English, motherfucker, do you speak it?" I can't help but think it. Obviously, I don't say it, but it is so inversely worded that it just is so hilarious. It's like a quasi Yoda vulgarity that just fits perfectly.
So we have our first steal of the night there.
Wow, I was wondering when it would happen.
Because I have that, but then I also have the rest of the quote after it was like,
Sure.
say what again? Say what again? I double dare you.
I love it. That's great.
I knew it was coming at one point. God damn
Oh
it.
yeah, that was pretty good though. I mean, we got what, like 10 or so.
We got 40
Each?
minutes in. 40 minutes in before still on one.
Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. I don't know if anybody will have this one. This is from Rocky 2. And again, this is so dependent on his delivery. So maybe the line won't even sound that great, but the way he says it, like, I just love it so much. He says, is when he's proposing to Adrian, they're at the zoo, and he says, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind marrying me very much. Like, why does he word it like that? I don't know.
Just
I
say
love
it.
Yeah. If you wouldn't, this is one I had to look up to make sure I had it right. If you wouldn't mind marrying me very much.
Missed opportunity for all three of us to use, you know?
Yeah. God damn it.
I guess I'll have to redo it. Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm going to go take the ring back. Hold on. Shit, I got to do it for the podcast. All right, I am going to go. All right, I'm just going to stick with Pulp Fiction because we talked about it briefly. It's another very quotable one that I think people can say in their day-to-day life. It's, nah, man, I'm pretty fucking far from okay. Just so good. Such like a simple delivery after such a traumatic scene. And it's just like, nah, I'm pretty fucking far from it. So good.
I love that. I'll kind of hop off of Spence's with the proposal one, but I feel like this one is like pretty popular with anybody whenever this kind of phrase comes up, but it's so dumb, and I every time I watch the movie I think I hate it more. Borat, and he says my wife. I feel like everyone always says that, and it's just like reflex when someone just talks about it, and it's like one of those things where I hate using that phrase because of that, and I know secretly everyone in their head's like my wife, and I'm like, oh my god.
Everyone.
Such a very online thing too. It's like Borat voice. My wife.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, got it. Cool.
I'm gonna go with one that not necessarily one that's like a personal favorite, but is one that's super influential and impactful, really important. And it's from The Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. I mean, how many times have you heard that? How many times is that referenced everywhere? I think everybody says it. It's one of the probably universally agreed upon, like most important quotes in movies. So,
Damn. Deep.
Very deep. Doing a live audible, but I'm not gonna do it for this one because I gotta find it. I'm just gonna go a Scorsese classic from The Departed. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself. Just there's another steal.
Was that a steal?
Yes.
Yes.
I got it back.
Yes.
I got it
You
back.
got me back.
Yes.
That one, I hate that I use that one so much, and most people don't catch it, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe not.
It's one of like 7 lines that he has in that movie, and he got a nomination for supporting actor.
Oh, I forgot about that. He was nominated. I mean, deservedly so.
Yeah, very
good. So good.
All right, well, since you did that, I'll do a little audible here. You got the steal sign, so that was good. Also from The Departed, and this one borderlines too a little bit. It's probably cancelable, but anytime someone orders like cranberry juice, vodka cranberry, it's just like in my head I just see the guy at the bar. He's like, "What are you drinking?" It's like, "What is it, you period?" It's just terrible. It's terrible, but it just like crowns cranberry juice.
Yep.
Like,
And I always say, I'm like, it's a natural diuretic.
yeah.
Which one do I want to go with? Okay. This quote is from John Carpenter's They Live. If you haven't seen that movie, it's great. There's like a 12-minute fight scene that's just absolutely nonsensical, but it's so great. The quote is, and again, this is another one that I think has been applied in a lot of different ways in a lot of different places, but it is, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
So good. I almost put that on my list. So,
How do they even think of that line? But
Like
it's so good.
Anchorman rips that off too.
Oh yeah,
Fighting, screwing, and reading the news.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
holy shit! I'm still trying to find this quote that I'm doing a live audible for, and it's not working. All right, gotta keep moving here. I will go with from Wedding Crashers, which is another very quotable movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with the painting was a gift, Todd. I'm taking it with me. It's like, again, the Vince Vaughn delivery of it, just like so random.
He's another great, just like deadpan delivery comedy
Yes.
guy. He's really great.
Jeremy seduced me. I want my painting back.
Death, you are my bitch lover. I love that one too. I'll keep the comedy rolling. I love this one, and this is my shout out to the name ones again. But anytime I meet someone with this name, I always think this Home Alone 2, when Marv gets hit and he's sitting there and he's like, Harry. I just always think of that anytime I meet someone named Harry, and it's awful, but it's too good.
That is great. Well, I'll continue the name trend here. This is from the movie The Producers. I kind of have to like act this one out a little bit, which is kind of embarrassing, but I have to do it. It's the only way to get it across. They're holding auditions, and I guess the name on the sheet is he's trying to get the person who signed up on the sheet, and he's like Jacques Lepidou. Jacques Lepidou. Nobody answers. Jack Lapidus. Try to make it sound all French and fancy, and no, just Jack Lapidus.
Jesus Christ. I'm struggling to get the actual quote from this one.
We're going too fast for you.
I know. Okay, all right. Keep moving. All right, I'm just going to go with classic from... We talked about Gladiator 2 earlier. This is from Gladiator. And I was going to go a much deeper, longer quote from this movie that I think everybody knows and can probably say word for word, especially on this podcast. But I'm going to go from the beginning of the movie, right before the big battle, where Maximus says, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Just so awesome, so simple. Like, what a fire-up speech to his troops. And Russell Crowe and Ridley Scott, they're so great.
He's like my only Ridley Scott exception. I don't know. I'm not a big Ridley Scott guy.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know.
We're going to have to discuss that.
Too.
He's certainly hit or miss. I think that's for sure. He's definitely hit or miss, but he does have quite a few hits. In my opinion.
Sure.
But definitely some misses.
Yeah.
This one's probably from my all-time maybe favorite movie, but definitely my all-time favorite comedy movie. Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire, and when he is looking around in the kitchen, and the like social worker is there at his house, and she's like, "Do you need a hand?" And he says, "I don't need a hand. I need a face." I say that so many times when someone's like, "Oh, do you need a hand?" Nope, I need a face.
All right. I'm gonna do okay. So I'll do a quote from Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and it's in the trailer. And I think like the hype around this movie when this was coming out was just like unmatched. I was so excited for this movie. Every time I saw the trailer, like made me emotional. And it's just a simple Han Solo saying to Chewie, we're home. It just absolutely rips. Like every time I hear that, every time I rewatch that trailer, because I do rewatch that trailer because it is so good, and that movie is so good. But I don't want to talk about the way the rest of the trilogy went. But I do love that one.
So good. Yeah, the hype around that was so perfect, and just that because that was the closing scene from that trailer, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what a perfect
brings it home.
All right, I just realized that the quote that I was trying to pull is probably problematic in today's age, so I'm not going to say it. We could talk about it off podcast, but you guys will understand when I tell you. But I'm going to go with classic from Training Day. It's not the one you're thinking. Not the one you're thinking. It's I say this a lot too. It's ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, huh? Just so simple, stupid, hilarious, but impactful, especially in the way that Denzel and Ethan Hawke then say it, and the way they bring it back at the end, so great. So I love that movie.
That movie's so good.
So good. So good. And then they made that stupid TV show trying to capitalize off of whatever.
They did?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
It had starred Bill Paxton, R.I.P. I think it only had one
R.I.P..
season.
What a legend.
But yeah, it wasn't good.
No. Yeah, you can't remake that.
No, just let it lie.
Yeah. I got my next one. It's perfect for movie watchers and it's perfect for football players and football watchers. Anytime a drop pass, anytime anything like that, I think of The Longest Yard when Brucey gets the pass thrown to him and he just says, I should have ate that popcorn. And he just like rubs his hand. It's so funny. It's so perfect.
I'm gonna do one from The Fly. Jeff Goldblum. Well, he doesn't say it. Gina Davis delivers a line. It's the tagline of the movie. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Again, another quote that you've seen like in a million different places in a million different uses, but it comes from that movie. It's the tagline of that movie. I watched that movie for the first time probably just like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's so good. It's so disturbing. You wouldn't think a movie like that from that long ago about a man turning into a fly could be that disturbing, but it really is. And it's so heartbreaking because you knew Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis were either dating or married or something in real life at the time too. So they just really had tons of chemistry. But her delivery on that line is perfect, and it has lasted in pop culture.
I bet you a lot of people don't know that quote is from that movie.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think, but I don't really even know many other people who have seen that movie, even though it was a big movie. It's definitely a cult classic, but yeah, it's great. Great line.
Okay. I am going to go with a classic from a Western, a more modern Western, but not really, from Tombstone. I say this a lot, too. It doesn't really apply to, like, life ever. But Val Kilmer, I'm your Huckleberry. So simple. What a little throwaway line in that, like, standoff in the street. But, like, I say that all the time. I'm like, you look for a Huckleberry? I'll be your Huckleberry. Like, just... And again, I bet you a lot of people have not seen that movie or do not understand that quote, but it's so good.
That's an amazing cast too.
So good.
Another Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Oh, adding it to the watch list. Oh my, you're right. This cast is nuts.
My next one is a very powerful scene. This is like one of those movie scenes where I wish it would be like an Oscar category of just like best scene or like best monologue, like something like that. But in Whiplash, and it's like one of the beginning parts where he's drumming. He's like, this is kind of a twofer where he's like, not my tempo, or were you leading or were you dragging? That's my quote. And I love that one. And then I love the follow up when he's like, oh, so you do know the difference. It's so funny to be able to use that when it's like, oh, so you do know the difference.
So good. So good. Another criminally underrated movie that did not get the Oscar buzz it deserved. Although J.K. did win for,
I was gonna say, yeah,
but I think,
rightfully so.
I think Teller was robbed for best lead actor, at least a nomination there. But
yeah, 100%.
What do I know? What
Love
do I
that
know?
movie. Love Damien Chazelle and everything he's ever done.
Except Babylon. What?
I'm in on Babylon.
I know you are.
Yeah. After rewatch, I am too. So
yes, let's go.
I just can't bring myself to rewatch it. I can't.
I don't blame you. I mean, look, it's 3 hours. It's a lot. It's 3 hours, but it feels like 8.
I think what really killed it for me was in that end monologue, like scene where they just show films from all different types of movies, and like one of the first ones you see is Avatar, and I'm like, God fucking damn it! Like, how am I supposed to like this movie now?
Yeah.
You post a scene from Avatar, and I'm just supposed to be like, oh yeah, great movie. No, no, fuck no.
I'm gonna go back to my childhood and have a quote from Toy Story here. It's what Buzz says this to Woody, and I think this is great because it just shows their dynamic at the beginning. And he says, "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity." I've definitely said that to a couple people in real life before.
Such like a deep quote too for like a children's movie. Like, all right, Jesus.
Sad, strange little man, you have my pity. Incredible.
Okay, I'm gonna go with one that I guarantee probably a handful of like maybe 5 people that are listening to this podcast have seen this movie or are able to recognize this quote. It's from Menace to Society. It's during the interrogation scene where he's like, see, you know you fucked up, right? You realize that. You know you done fucked up, right? And just like the deadpan delivery, I don't even know. I think the actor's name is something Duke. But like that whole like scene of like the story, and he's like, so you said you bought the bottle at 12. It's like, yeah, bought the bottle at 12. And then like 2 minutes later, so you said you bought the bottle at 10:30. He's like, yep, I bought the bottle at 10:30. He's like, see, you know you fucked up, right? See, you know you fucked up, right? I say, you know you fucked up, right? A lot, and it doesn't like nobody gets it, but I just love it.
That's a deep cut. I like that.
Very
like
deep.
I don't know it, but I like it. It's a good quote.
I don't remember a lot from Menace to Society, but I remember that scene.
Another one to kind of play off someone who's like shaped my comedy of personal comedy and like movie comedy, Jim Carrey. Liar Liar. Obviously there's hundreds of quotes in that, but the one that I use and being on an elevator almost every day, it's he get off the elevator with his son at the beginning of the movie and he's just like 21st floor menswear, and I die every time I see that. I love saying it. It's so funny. It just reminds me of like the droopy dog from like old Cartoon Network when he was like the elevator like attendant. Just going down.
Talk about a man with good delivery.
Holy shit.
My God.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go down a little Jim Carrey hole now.
Love
This one, from The Grinch, and it's actually a twofer, kind of, but it's when he realizes that the echo in his cave is bouncing off of him and repeating him, and he wants to throw him off the scent. He wants to throw the echo off the scent, so he says, "I'm an idiot. You're an idiot." It makes me laugh every time.
It's so well written.
It's so well written, and just like one of my favorite performances of all time, without a doubt. Like I think he's so good in that movie. Ridiculous, but good.
There's so many like good quotes from that movie too. Like, that's it. I'm not going.
Yeah. You think you've changed my entire outlook on life? Really? No.
Okay, I will keep the comedy going here. And it's also from Wedding Crashers. And it's Grow Up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. Just like comes out of nowhere, gets repeated at the end of the movie, just like so stupid, doesn't make any sense. It's just like, I say it all the time too, but I'm like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
I thought we'd have a near steal there. Oh my gosh! Anytime you get into the Wedding Crashers realm, that's twice now. You made me gasp.
Got you on your toes here.
The another Vince Vaughn, when they're playing the flag football or touch football game, whatever, and he's just red 7, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "We just stand on the other side." And then kind of a 2 for 2 when he's like, "I was all state. I can make it rain out here." That one is so good too.
John, I was all state. I'll make it rain out here. I'll put the ball wherever you want it. So
it is. All right, I got another Jim Carrey line, but this is not so much a comedy line. But he says it's from The Truman Show. Probably, I mean, honestly, maybe objectively his best movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And I love that works on just so many levels because it's like a TV sign-off kind of thing, even though he's using it in the real world. He doesn't even know. I know he says it a bunch of times in the movie, and it's just super memorable.
So I hadn't seen that movie for a long time, and I watched it recently, and I was like, holy shit, this is much more of a like expose on like the human condition and like
oh yeah,
I was like, oh my god, like
entertainment, yeah,
just so good.
Yeah, like, yeah, that place is gorgeous. I've been there too.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
This is kind of a pander pick here, and I know Jordan's gonna enjoy this one. Spence, I don't know if you've seen this one yet, but we talked about it leading up to Jordan's wedding. I did some mandatory watching ahead of it. It's from Definitely Maybe, and It's a Ryan Reynolds banger. It's a deep, like emotional, heavy one. But and again, this is full on pander, but I needed to do it. It's I kept the book because it was the only thing I had left of you. Like that, and like the ending of it where he says that and he brings his daughter to so just
Why do you do that? Why do you do that when I'm about to go?
I'm glad that this worked out, that you follow me, that now you have to be like, damn it. And Spence, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It's fantastic.
I just added it to my watch list. There's a lot to love about this movie. Me and my new friend Ryan Reynolds, you know.
Yeah. What was his favorite quote? Did you get that for us?
I couldn't get it. He was a little busy.
You had one job. You had one job at that premiere.
I know. I'm sorry. I failed.
Unbelievable.
Oh man, God. Okay.
Take a second.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. Okay. I think I'll go a little simpler. And Step Brothers, and one of the beginning scenes, they're at the dinner for their parents' wedding or whatever, and it's just a good relatable one. Anytime there's like salmon served at a wedding or an event, and it's just, that's when I had to look up and I don't remember what it was, but he's just like so many times I didn't want salmon, and
I said it 4 times
off. Yeah. It's so funny, and it's so perfect because it's just like, yeah, you probably wanted the salmon, but it's just something to argue about.
That's another one with just so many quotes.
Oh yeah.
Oh
my God.
Oh yeah. All right, I know we started like the rom-com route a little bit there, so I'll continue it. And from When Harry Met Sally, the rom-com, in my opinion. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Oh,
it's great. It's great.
Whew.
I know. Sorry. I know we're making everybody emotional here.
So good. All right,
Oh
we'll keep it with the emotional ones, and this one, I don't think a lot of people have seen or will know. It's kind of another pander pick towards Jordan, but because he knows how much this movie really affected me for like a couple of years. It's a little known film called Before We Go, starring Chris Evans, directed by Chris Evans.
Wow.
His directorial debut, and this movie captured my brain and my entire life for like a month period. It was like when Jordan and I first discovered that we both loved rom-coms. We would just like send random ones back and forth to each other, and the quote goes, "Why is it that any one decision always seems too small to be the biggest decision of your life?"
It's so good. I just like laugh. It's like not even like, oh, you just laugh, because that's what I love about rom-coms. Is like they're
so heavy.
They're so I don't know.
I don't even know if you can call that a rom-com. That's like
it's just a rom.
Yeah.
Rom.
Yeah. That movie, so good. Spence, add it to your watch list.
I will. Doing it right
Chris
now.
Evans. Oh my
So
gosh. All right, I'm gonna go with this one, and this one's from. I'm gonna skip off the rom-com area, but it's from Django, and I think this is a good one where it's kind of relatable in a sense of like people say that all the time. Where it's like when he's about to shoot the guy, and he like teaches Django how to snipe. And he's like, "Are you sure that's him?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he goes, "Are you positive?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "You don't know if you're positive?" He's like, "I don't know what positive means." And I think that's so funny because it's like he's got him in his sights the whole time. And then he's like, "Yes." He's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's him." And then he just shoots him and kills him. I'm like, it's just so funny how it's written because it's like such a simple thing. And you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, he probably doesn't know what that means.
Just that little back and forth between Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz. It's like, "You're positive?" "I don't know." "Yes, I'm sure that's Billy Pritchard."
It's great.
So good.
All right, my next one is from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's another classic one. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. I think it's great. It's a pretty like deep thought for a comedy movie like that.
Jeez.
So I was gonna go off of this Tarantino route there, but Spence, that one just made me pivot. This is from Stand By Me, a classic, like coming of age. I hope everybody's seen that one. I never had any friends like I did when I was 12. Jesus, does anybody? just so like
Whew.
just cuts you to your core. It's so perfect, and the way he like saves that line till the end, so great. And little known fact, that's a Stephen King novella. So in case you didn't know that one, but Stephen King does not just do horror, but he does some deep shit too.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that's kind of like a new age like horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting old.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrifying. Yeah.
It sucks.
Really sucks.
All right, I'll stay kind of inspirational then. From another Vince Vaughn, but a little more inspirational, and Swingers with Jon Favreau, and it's just he says it a lot so much, and he's just, oh, you're so money, and you don't even know it. I love that line. It's such like a build up line that you just like say to your boys. You're like, come on, dude, you're so money, and you don't even know it.
It's a great line.
It's like a classic, like out with your boys at the bar. They want to talk to a girl. It's like, dude, you are money. You don't even know it. But you are so money. You got
We've
this.
all been in those scenarios.
You got and in your head, you're like, he does not have this, but I cannot. I gotta get him over there.
That's your duty. Yeah, I love it. Well, I am kind of out of inspirational stuff, so I'll take slightly inspirational, but still in the blockbuster realm. And it's at the very end of this movie, and it's with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh yeah.
This is my gift, my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I just love it. It's a great way to end that movie.
So good.
Brings it all home.
I'm surprised you didn't say that till the end. That's such a good one
That
for
is a
you
great
too.
one.
Yeah.
Now I regret it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I was hitting kind of the end of my road of like coming up with my own quotes, I subletted 4 out to Shannon and her sisters and brother-in-law. I was like, give me your favorite movie quote of all time. I need it by 5 p.m. today. And so the next couple are going to be these ones. This is Shannon's, and it's so perfect for her, I think. If you don't know my fiance, she is a vegetarian. But it's from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It goes, what do you mean he don't eat meat? Oh, that's okay. I make lamb. Just like...
Perfect.
So perfect. Just like that movie is just such chaos and such a classic. I think that movie to me just screams like when you're younger and you're like traveling, and that was like always the movie that they played on the planes, like on the TVs in the hall aisle, and like you had to watch that one or you were just like not watching anything. I think I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding like 6 times on planes because they just didn't update the movies.
That reminds me, I need to check out the newest one.
What are they on now? 4? 3?
3?
3 or 4.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah,
another good dive.
Yeah.
Next one's a little sweeter. John Candy, Uncle Buck. I mean, this one you could get a lot of ones from this, but the one with like wedding shopping and registry stuff and all that, it's just like he goes up to the plate when he gets to his sister's house and he like drops it and he goes, huh, unbreakable, and he taps it on the piano and it just shatters. It's so funny. So anytime we were looking at plates and dishware and all this, it's just like we'll say like unbreakable, and I'm like, huh, unbreakable, and I'll like take it and act like I'm tapping it.
So good. So good.
I have a kind of a twofer, and it's from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, because that is truly one of my favorite movies of all time. Russell Brand's.
You got 2 gasps here. Go ahead.
Oh. It's kind of a twofer, so hopefully I'm not stealing anything. But it's when he gets to the dinner and he's like, I do admire Sir Tommy Bahama, talking about his shirt, and then at the end, when he spills on it, he's like, oh, take my eyes, but not this shirt. So good.
Anytime I spill, I say that. So you stole that one from me because that one is so good.
I apologize, but it's too good. It just shows you how great it is, really.
So good.
I say that I admire Sir Tommy Bahama all the time as well. They go together so well.
I love also he's sitting at the table and then the guy at the other table is like, sure, dang.
Yeah. I think I'm that guy. Like, that's who I am as a person. I'm the other guy.
I have an honorable mention from Sarah Marshall that we'll get to at the end here, but this next one is Shannon's sister's Brianna's favorite. It's from She's the Man, and I'll try and say it in the voice that Amanda Bynes says it in, but it's and when my eyes are closed, I see what you truly are, which is ugly. We're done. So hilarious, so stupid, but just
I love that
so
movie.
great, so great.
Me too.
So
Amanda
great.
Bynes is the best. I know. It's
A
on
young
Pluto
Channing
TV
Tatum.
all the time, and I put Pluto TV on like when I go to sleep, and it's just like it's like She's the Man network. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
Young Channing Tatum, just my favorite's Gouda.
Well, all right, I'll use my Sarah Marshall one then here. Same sort of part, but it's later on, and when anytime someone does like a British accent around me, he follows back. He's like, "That stupid accent, that's supposed to be me." It's so funny. That's just such a great scene. That whole scene, and Jonah Hill being the one who delivers it is just so funny.
It's truly. I mean, there's just. I was going for a long time trying to figure out which quote to pick from that movie. I mean,
It's a tough movie to pick one quote from.
It really is. All right. Okay. Let's stick in the comedy realm. Anchorman, Legend of Ron Burgundy, when he's in the phone booth, is a little bit of another one of a twofer. He's like, the man punted Baxter. And then right after, I'm in a glass case of emotion. Those lines had a hold on me for many years of my life.
Yeah.
Maybe they still do.
I was gonna say, I would argue that they still have a hold on me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Great cameo by Jack Black too. Like,
Oh, so good.
Oh, so good. I can't believe it.
You just throw a burrito at me, bro?
what the hell, bro? What the hell?
Now this is happening. Okay, this is Shannon's brother-in-law's favorite quote from Dumb and Dumber, another classic Jim Carrey comedy. We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off. I was so mad that I didn't have anything from Dumb and Dumber on my list when I read that. I was like, God damn it. So
Honestly,
many.
same too. Yeah, jeez.
So good.
I'll kind of go off in like the listing realm then. That's a good segue. Basketball, the guys from South Park, one of my favorite movies. So hilarious. We used to play basketball in my driveway. He's like, dude, we never win anything. And then he's like, first thing on Monday, we get jobs. Then we get the girls. He's like, no. First we get jobs. Then we get the khakis. Then we get the girls.
Gotta have the khakis.
Gotta have it. So good. So good.
I'll take it back to a franchise we have already talked about, but we have not mentioned this element of it. And it's our guy Vin Diesel goes over and says, "You can have any brew you want as long as it's a Corona." Is that a steal? I'm so sorry. It had to happen. It had to come up. The impact that line alone has had on that franchise and really just all of movies I can't even put it into words.
And then just the immediate follow up. That one's Vince's. He wipes off the top of it. Oh my god. All right, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Bounce back.
All right, this is Shannon's sister's Lauren's favorite, and this is entirely too long to quote, so I'm just going to say what it is. It's the entirety of the song that is The Legend of the Rent from School of Rock.
Yeah, School
Great
of Rock.
quote, yeah.
Yes.
Legend of the Rent was way hardcore.
That's a great
Great.
one.
So
Oh my
good.
gosh. I'm surprised I don't have any School of Rock on mine either. Dang.
And
That's a good
Cello.
Yeah.
Turkey sub.
Dang. So I had like a filler spot for some steals, and I'll use one here with that, I guess. Some more School of Rock. It's "You're in the band," and that's why you're in the band. It's just a good one just to include anybody in a group, and it's like, hey, we're going out, and that's why you're in the band.
That's great. I love that. I could see that. There's a lot of use in that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, Spencer. I'm sorry.
Yep, it's
Let's
okay.
go
One from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but this is another quote that has kind of lasted throughout that franchise. This is the day you will always remember as the day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. I love it.
That's a good one. I got nervous there. I
Oh,
have a Pirates.
boy.
I have a
I
Pirates
have
one.
another Pirates one too. We'll see.
Uh-oh. Jordan, you might have to pull it out next. I don't know.
Take this to steal it.
Okay, I'm gonna go. All right, I was gonna go Sarah Marshall, but I'm gonna go Caddyshack.
Okay.
This is so I have two from Caddyshack on my list, and I'm gonna go with this one because I think it might get stolen if you guys have a Caddyshack on your list. But don't tell me if you do. Don't sell yourself short, Judge. You're a tremendous slouch. I say that so much. So good.
That's a good one.
Such a good one.
Oh my gosh. I feel like the third base coach now given the steal sign. I could go two different ways with this. So I'm gonna go a different way actually. I'm gonna give him the 3 sign. Austin Powers.
Ooh.
So this is another one where, especially nowadays, where money's getting like crazy astronomical. In any variation, I'll do this as like a twofer with $100 billion, or any kind of variation of that is so funny. And then the fact that Tim Robbins is like the president, and he's like, "I want a gajillion bazillion dollars."
And my money has not even been made yet. Good.
Jordan, is your Pirates quote a comedy one or?
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's not.
I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna skip that
Okay.
one. We'll see it. We'll see if it's the same thing. It might not.
Okay.
I'll go to a shirt, a quote that I have on a shirt. It's from 1978 Halloween. It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. Love it.
Such
Great
a
shirt.
It doesn't even like necessarily to me like apply to the movie, but I still just I think it's a great quote.
It's a great
It
quote.
applies to life, you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
It speaks to my life philosophy.
Okay, I'm gonna pivot from my list because Spence, you saying that you have it on a shirt is throwing me into a tizzy here because I have 2 shirts that have great quotes on them, and I'm gonna go with this one first. It's from Point Break, the original, not that trash ass new one. It's Utah. Give me 2. So good, so stupid. Doesn't have any implication on the movie at all, but I feel like that's like the one quote that people like draw to on that one. Just like talking about sandwiches. 2. So good.
I'll keep the numbers going. Varsity Blues. They go to the strip club. They see their teacher, Billy Bob. He's like, a 10! A fucking 10! It's so good. He's the best character in that. I mean, shout out Paul Walker, obviously R.I.P. But that line is so good. And anytime it's like 1 out of 10 rated, a 10, a fucking 10.
Okay, my next one is from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Just another. There's something about this like deadpan comedy delivery that just like speaks to me, and it's when Drax. He says, "Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it." I love Drax. Drax is one of my favorite characters.
He's so good. He's so good. The preposition one that he does where he's like, on, of, above.
Okay. Oh Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Caddyshack, and this is a pivot, not the one that I had on my list, but this one just also is just fantastic. It's from the beginning. Chevy Chase when Noonan is on his bag, and he's like, "You do drugs, Danny? Every day. Perfect. Good. So good. So stupid, so funny. Just like a little quick, like, you do drugs, Danny? Every day of my life, sir. Good.
Man, I think I gotta capitalize on these because I actually had 2 Caddyshacks on here. So, and thus far they've made it. So,
Oh boy.
The pro shop scene where they're looking around and Rodney Dangerfield picks up the hat and he goes, "Oh, this is a nice hat. Looks like you get a bowl of soup with. And then he looks over and the guy's wearing it and he goes, oh, looks good on you. I love that line. That line's so funny. I looks good on you. I say that all the time when people are wearing funny hats.
Perfect.
And then just the part right before that, which is so not okay to say nowadays, is like, now keep quiet, Wang. I don't know if they'll let your kind in here. Just say you're Jewish. It's like, whoa, all right.
That's the 80s for you.
Hey. Hey.
Rodney Dangerfield.
R.I.P.
All right. I'm going to do a more recent one. This is from the movie Pearl. And it's gotten pretty big on I guess TikTok. It's a pretty big sound on there, but it's when at the very end when she auditions and does not get it, spoiler alert, and she says, "Please, I'm a star." Mia Goth is like the way, I mean, her voice is so unique, and the way she just delivers lines like that and just is not afraid to just go for it is like second to none. I think she's so good. She had another great line in Infinity Pool where she's like, "Jamesy," like her voice is so mousy and weird, but she's so evil sometimes. It's great. I love it. She's so good. I love Pearl.
I need to catch that one still.
I still haven't seen any of the X trilogy.
Oh yeah. I mean, Maxine, I was a little disappointed, but again, for another podcast. But X and Pearl are fantastic.
I do still love a segment that from the podcast, favorite internet thing of the week, the letterbox thing of like the strangest trilogy ever. It's like X, X2, and then X3.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't get this trilogy at all. This doesn't make any sense. Oh no, X, X2, triple X. Yeah.
Triple X, yeah.
It's like, this trilogy just doesn't make any sense. Okay. I think we're getting to the end. I don't even know how many we've given now at this point.
We have like 5 or 6 left each, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to save this one for last. I think I'm going to be able to get it. Fingers crossed. This is another Robert Pattinson banger from The Batman. I believe it's from the opening sequence, not the Riddler murder, but like when they're just showing Gotham. And he says, "Fear is a tool. When that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning." And that just kind of sets the tone for the entirety of the movie with the Batman and how Gotham is set up and just his notoriety, even for how like in his infancy he is as Batman. Just so good. Can't wait for the Penguin series.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll use one of my last ones. I was going to round out the Caddyshack one, but I'll finish it up with some of my serious ones. The scene in Moneyball where Brad Pitt is yelling back and forth at his secretary to call different GMs on the phone, and he's like interacting with Jonah Hill. I mean, it's entirely way too long and entirely broken up, but that scene was so good, and that was another one where I'm like, this would be so perfect for just like best scene at, like Oscar, like in itself, because he's just like going back and forth, he's putting people on mute, and he's just got his feet kicked up the whole time. I love the delivery of it. I love how like applicable and like behind the scenes it is to baseball. You're like, oh my god, is that what really happens?
Yeah, just the chomping on the popcorn too in between.
Yeah,
like, I want this one.
It's a great point. I mean, how real is that? I have no idea. I mean, it's really like fascinating. I hope it's not that loose, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Phillies better have better management than that, you know? All right. I'll take it back to, I found one more that's kind of a little heartfelt, and it's from recent Best Picture winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's Ke Kwan at the end saying, I would have really liked just doing laundry and taxes with you.
Yeah.
It's just like a very sweet little thing. It just kind of shows like he's just a loyal husband, and you know, he just loves her. That's great. It's really sweet.
Okay, I just thought of one, but I'm not going to say it. I might save it. We're going to go back to... Are you out?
I got 3 left.
Yeah.
I think I have 3 left, so you have 4.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with another one from the other guys. Classic, not really a classic one, but it's a good one from Captain Gene Mauch, a.k.a. Michael Keaton. It's the setup of the scene, too, is perfect. It cuts to him. He's, like, up against a whiteboard. And he's like, got a big day out there. Big one. It's a full moon. People are going to be amped. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh. The new bath mats are in. Yep, here we go. All right. Oh, one more thing. We got a serial rapist in Crown Heights. Oh, jeez. Sorry, that's my other job. Ignore that. Nope, wait. Oh, don't ignore that if you live in Crown Heights, walk in pairs. Just
So good.
so good.
That is great. I forgot about that.
Everything he says in that movie is fucking hilarious. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing here, and I'm working nights at Bed Bath & Beyond. All to put my bisexual son join NYU so I can become a DJ. Just so good.
Was that the start of Michael Keaton's return? I think it
might have been
after Birdman. I think
before.
Birdman.
This was before Birdman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then he was in
Great.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
And now he's gonna be in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Don't say it a third time.
I left it at 2. We don't want any trouble.
There we go.
I was gonna do a different one, but I feel like I need to take that with the recent Beetlejuice reference. The original one with Michael Keaton, and I love this one, and I remember my siblings and I loving this one growing up. We'd watch this movie all the time, every like Halloween kind of time. He's in the little house model at the bottom, and something falls and breaks, and he goes, "Hey, nice fucking model!" And he like grabs himself, and he's like, "Honk honk."
Love it. Oh my gosh, perfect pivot.
so perfect.
Man, I wish I had another Keaton quote on here, but I do not. So I'll have to go. This is a quote from the first Avengers movie that I find myself saying all the time, and I just replace one of the words, and it's "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." When the Hulk or Bruce Banner says that at the end, as he's like turning into the Hulk and punching. I think it's a great quote, and also, yeah, you can apply it to literally anything. Replace angry with any other word,
Any word.
and it works. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're done. Last three here.
I think you have 3 left, and Jordan and I have 2 each left.
Okay. Ooh, I gotta be careful here. All right. We're gonna go back to Caddyshack because it came back to me, and I'm gonna allow it. It's not gonna be the whole diatribe that Bill Murray gives, but this is probably my favorite Bill Murray role ever. It's like, "Hey, Lama, how about a little something, for the effort?" And he says, "Oh, there will be no money, but on your deathbed, I promise you, you will have total consciousness." So I got that going for me, which is nice. So he's got the kid up against the clubhouse with the rake or the hoe up against his neck. I also have that on a shirt too, which is just like total consciousness. So I got that going for me. So good.
My last one I'm gonna say because I think it's a deep one that I'd be interested if either of you have seen it. But my second to last, the penultimate, I'll go back to my Pirates one. Bootstrap Bill, that whole scene, and then the part of the crew, part of the ship. I say that one all the time. It's so great. Team building, just like part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship, and you'd be surprised how many people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Wow.
I hate this generation of people so much.
That's a great quote. I forgot about that one, but yeah, I definitely that's perfect use. You could use
little
that one
Skarsgård.
Yep.
How? Hold on, Spence. Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How are we not using those films as the preeminent way to use CGI and visual effects? Like, what the fuck are we doing? We had Bill Nighy as a full-on octopus on his face in 2004, 5? 6?
Yeah.
5 or 6.
One
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
And
it's
we
crazy.
still have shitty
Barbossa.
Yeah. I've gone into
it's infuriating.
I've gone into this at lengths when we talked about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and how I'm sorry.
No,
I got worked up. Sorry.
No, it's fair. I mean, it looks so good. It still holds up. I'm actually due for a rewatch for sure. It's a great summer franchise. So I'm going to be diving back into that. And with that, I'll go to my Pirates quote, which was not that one, luckily for me. I'm going to do a little Barbosa accent here. So, you better start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
Yes.
Again, the delivery's perfect, but the whole scene leading up to it is so great. Just as she's like running around the ship and everybody's skeletonized, and it's awesome. Just a really great moment. And he just bites the apple as the skeleton. Or no, that's when he drinks. He drinks
yeah.
the wine
Just,
as the
falls
skeleton
out of
goes
yeah.
through him. Yeah. It's a great quote. Great delivery.
God, those movies are so good.
So good. But then after the third one, they kind of fell off a little bit. Let's be very, very real.
Sure. Oh yeah, I mean, they're still an enjoyable watch, but they're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Okay, I have 3 left. You guys have 2?
Two,
I have
we have one.
One left.
You have
2.
I have 2. Okay. Then I'm calling an audible, and this is very on brand for me on this podcast. And I don't know how I got to this point in this quote off without having a single Star Wars quote.
Ooh. Well, I had Force Awakens.
You did.
But-
I'm
Okay.
saying
This
me
is your-
myself. I didn't have any,
You're right.
which
My
is craziness, being that I named my dogs after Star Wars characters. I think it's from Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Anakin Skywalker. I don't like sand. Just very on brand for me. I don't like sand movies. Anybody that knows me, I didn't like Dune. Dune 2 made me come to my realization that it's a good movie. But we have 4 fucking years before Dune 3 comes out anyway. Yeah, clip
Very
it.
appropriate quote.
Clip it.
I mean, even the rest of the quote is great too.
It's all grainy, gets
It's
everywhere.
coarse, it's rough, it gets everywhere, whatever. It's irritating, whatever it is.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Just had to. Came to me as we were going through this. I'm like, I have to work this in. Had to work it in.
Very on brand.
I like that. All right, my last one. This is a lesser known, probably Chevy Chase movie. They made a second one. The original one is incredibly quotable. I struggled because I had to include this in my list, but I didn't know which one to include. So I use my sign off every time I kind of hang up the phone with my wife now. The movie Fletch. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's an old 80s one.
It's been
He's like
so long, but it's so good.
It's so good for how quippy and how funny he is. But he has this like private secretary. He's a private detective, and he has a secretary that every time he calls her on the phone or she calls him, whatever, he says something different to hang up. And the one that I freaking die at and I say all the time is he's in the middle of public and he just goes, "All right, love your body, Larry," and then he hangs up. And there's people that are standing, they're around him and they're just like, "What?" It's so funny, but I love saying that. So every time I hang up the phone with her, I always go, "All right, love your body, Larry."
I'm due for
awesome.
a rewatch on that one. So good.
That's really funny. I've never seen that. All right, for my final one, it's not even honestly that impactful of a line in the movie, but I think it's kind of resonated within pop culture for years to come. I think it's just its placement in this scene, which is so incredible, and it's in the very opening scene of Scream when he's on the phone and he says, "What's your favorite scary movie?" He doesn't even say it in a weird way, honestly. It's just kind of a straightforward question, but it kind of just sets the tone for like what's to come. And Scream is honestly one of my favorite movies of all time as well. So I think it just is. It's a perfect movie, and it just sets the tone so well.
Dream has to be one of like the most perfect meta movies of all time.
That's what
Like,
I think.
just
I think
like-
it just nails what it's doing. It's like 100%. It nails exactly what it's going for, and it's
Yep.
still really entertaining and kind of thrilling in its own way.
Yep, and builds its own lore in and of
Yeah.
itself while it's making fun of all other scary movies in the world.
Yeah,
So perfect.
Wes Craven is a genius.
Transcends like every Halloween store ever opened every fall.
Yep.
Where they just have a mask or variation of it.
Well, that's what's crazy is like Ghostface is like, again, he's kind of a parody of these other killers.
Yeah.
Kind of a satirical, and yet now he's become one of the like horror icons of all time, really. So really
Yeah.
just they nailed it.
All right, so I timed this up perfectly. Got this one to the end. I think it's the perfect one to end this quote off with. It is from Inglourious Bastards. It is towards the end of the movie, and it is Christoph Waltz. Ooh, that's a bingo! Just so perfect. And then Brad Pitt, you just say bingo. Just so perfect, so great. Like, and I'm so happy I saved that to the end, and I'm happy that that was the last official one. Just so good. We didn't have a lot of Tarantino in this, which I'm surprised at.
Mm-mm.
No, we didn't. And he's
Couple Pulp Fictions.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
you had
that's true,
Django.
that's true. Django. Yep.
But yeah, just perfect one to end on. Do you guys have any quick honorable mentions? I know we've said 100 plus, maybe. I don't even know.
Recency bias. I feel like I would say Au revoir, Shoshana. Like I love that one at the beginning.
So good, so good.
I would just there was a lot of Bill Murray love here too. I think from Ghostbusters when they beat Slimer, he says, "We came, we saw, we kicked its ass." So that's another good one.
It's looking at me, Ray.
But no, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, the other ones I had were from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Oh, okay, I'll just go fuck myself then, because I say that all the time. Jonah Hill's character.
Me too. Oh, and then also like when he delivers the demo, he's like, "Oh, did you listen?" He's like, "Oh, I was going to do that, and then I just went on living my life."
So good. Shockingly, the first one I wrote down that I didn't even say from Hitch. I said, "You come 90, then I go 10. You don't go the full 100. My mouth is open, Albert. You disrespectful, overzealous son of a bitch." So good.
Hitch has a lot of good ones in it.
It does. It does. Oh my gosh.
The Q-tip one, I mean, I feel like that one's the dance move itself. Like,
you don't need no pizza? They got food there.
Or the disgusting. What do you think of the new Jets design? Let me guess. Disgusting?
Or when he's breaking that guy's arm, he's like, "You ever put your hands on me, I will break your shit off like you've never felt before." Okay, pumpkin? So good. Oh, Jesus. I think that's about all we got here for our 100th episode. Great idea, Spence. A lot of homework involved, but I think it was perfect.
It was worth it.
We were concerned on how we were going to do this and how many tangents we were going to go off on. I mean, an hour 40 for 100 movie quotes. I think we crushed that.
That's pretty bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's a great summer for movies. We won't get into too many of the current movies that are going on. We'll have to regroup and come back and talk about it. If you haven't seen Twisters, go see Twisters. We got Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. We've got a bunch of other great movies coming up. We'll have to talk about Gladiator 2 at some point, the trailer, because I think that was fantastic.
Long Legs.
Long Legs. I need to see Long Legs.
So good. I loved it. I mean, I hated it, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Need to see it. Trap, the Josh Hartnett Renaissance is alive and well. I cannot wait for that. Jesus. I mean, and then at some point we'll have to talk about that skinny fuck Chalamet in that Bob Dylan movie.
Do we have to?
We're going to have to, because I'm going to have to reckon with some fucking things that I've said, because if it comes out with what I think is actually true in that movie, I'm going to have to change my tune a little bit on a certain actor. But
hey,
we'll see.
Like in the Anchorman quote, Bob Dylan once wrote, "And the rest was blowing in the wind, my friend."
That's perfect. We'll sign off with that one. Appreciate everybody for listening. 100 episodes. Again,
congrats on 100 episodes.
Little rinky-dink podcast that started during COVID. Before COVID, and then COVID hit, and I was like, well, what the fuck are we going to talk about on this goddamn podcast? We made it. Appreciate all of you guys listening. Appreciate you guys for being the most recurring guests, and I'm just going to co-host. You guys are co-hosts. This is as much your podcast as it is mine. And we'll just catch you guys next time. Go see movies. And we got football coming up. We're going to have sports to talk about again. And I think if it's Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl, we'll have to all go and do some live on location podcasting from there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in.
Because
I'll do the Joe Burrow haircut if they both make the Super Bowl. You heard it here first.
That is a 3 balls and a BLP guarantee. We appreciate you guys. We will see you in a couple weeks. Enjoy the summer, and cheers.